Daytona International Speedway is one of the oldest venues in the iRacing.com sim, meaning on occasion, we sim racers get the chance to turn back the clock and race the track that once was. Legacy, bumpy, 2008 Daytona, whatever you want to call it, is here for round 5 of the SARG Superspeedway Series, presented by Sunwest Construction. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Daytona Beach, Florida. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the SARG Superspeedway Series presented by Sunwest Construction. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Sunwest Construction, Lucky Motorsports Solutions, and Whiplash Simcams. And oh, is it a good day to be here at the virtual Daytona International Speedway, the bumpy version, whatever you want to call it. Some people say the good Daytona, and I certainly can't disagree that this version of Daytona is fantastic. 2.5 miles, 4 kilometers thereabouts, just like we know and love. And let's take a look at that track map as we get ready to go racing for 80 laps, 200 miles here around the great World Center of Racing. This, of course, the 2008 version. These NASCAR trucks do not run here officially, so you have to turn back the clock and look back to some lap times like the NASCAR Xfinity Series. When they raced here towards the mid-2010s, which feels a little weird to say, they lapped around here at about a 48.87 in qualifying. The NASCAR Truck Series, however, if you go back to 2012, thereabouts, with the old NASCAR Chevy Silverado, at least that era Silverado, laps around here at a 48.08 thereabouts in qualifying. We're a little further north than that, in a good way, a little bit quicker than that, but still in that exact range. So trucks at Daytona, they haven't changed much. We can take a look at point standings, of course. Coming into round number 5 of 7, Nick Olson with the points lead by just 2 points over Brandon Half, just 4 points over Lucas Cram. Things very tight at the top, and we'll be talking about that all evening long. Or maybe not all evening long, but certainly throughout the course of this evening's 80 laps. With points in mind, there we go, we can go ahead and take a look at the schedule as well and see how we got to this point in time. Daytona International Speedway, March 6th. Next week, we head out to, well, we come right back here, Daytona. We're just going to do a quick repave in the middle of all of that and go racing on the new Daytona, the current Daytona, in a week's time. Cars are hitting the track. I should know by now, week 5, they are trucks hitting the track, ready to go racing in just a few minutes. Of course, qualifying first up. Everybody has a chance to go for 1 lap around the Daytona International Speedway to set their best time and try to start either from the front of the field or the back of the field, as some drivers may choose. And go ahead and get the music out, the sim up. It's gonna be a fun one. I am very much excited for this one. We can go ahead and take a look at weather as well. 65 degrees in the air, 90 on track. It's a pretty calm Daytona day, and wind speed, nothing too crazy. The qualifying underway, a handful of trucks already on the track. Here's Quinn Gingrich, Lucas Cram heading out onto the track as well in truck number 44. Gary Sexton in a brand new Toyota for truck number 3. Ben McDonald heading out on the track in the grit number 16. How about Nick Olson, of course, in that number 24 points leader? We can ride on board with our points leader as he comes around to take his green flag for his qualifying lap. Practice times down in the 47.9s. I would look for these guys to be probably 49s, 50s, thereabouts. I talk about the old truck being right about on pace with this new truck in qualifying pace. That's just not true, actually. That old truck, I don't know how they found 48s in qualifying. These guys, though, a 52.5 across the line for Brian Holland out on the top of the board. Gary Sexton across the line. That'll be a 52.567, and that's good enough for pole for now. Brennan Half comes across the line, there we go, and is right in that neighborhood as well. Nick Olson, truck 24, rounds turns 3 and 4, and he and Lucas Cram are around the same spot on the racetrack. Stephen Gale also on his timed lap. Indy Cassie on his timed lap. Olson down through the tri-oval across the line. It's going to be a 52.587, good for 3rd. Stephen Gale goes to 7th. Lucas Cram, though, across the stripe. 52.551, that's pole. Car 44. Lucas Cram to the top of the board. Indy Cassie on track as well into turn number 3. Ben McDonald looks like rounding turn 4, heading to the tri-oval. An opportunity here to try to go for pole position. Lucas Cram holds it at a 52.550. Ben McDonald across the line, 52.9. For Indy Cassie, the 72, it's a 52.6. That's better. Better than McDonald. That'll be 7th place. McDonald 11th of 11 trucks that have taken a time. A handful not yet on track, and it looks like 8 drivers will elect not to take a qualifying time if things continue as they look. Here's Robbie Lyons going for extra laps. Of course, he's gone past his one allotted timed lap to count towards qualifying, but we take a look on board here with Robbie. In fact, I like this view the best. The in-helmet view here with Robbie Lyons. We'll see if he actually goes for another lap. And he won't, but we'll be using this camera a lot over the course of the evening to show all of the bumps around this racetrack. It's going to be a really, really punishing day for these guys, even virtually, even through the sim. It's going to be a very, very tough race, even just for those 80 laps. We can go ahead and take a look at our Whiplash SimCam's race details. 80 lap race, 40 lap stage, right down the middle. And that fuel window then is about 19 to 22 laps, just like with race number 1, because we have that 60%, not 60%, I think 65, 62%, something like that fuel load. That kind of cuts things back, 12 gallons, I believe, with 3 change sets of tires. So it's going to be a very similar strategy to what we saw in race 1. We'll see a very similar strategy again next week, just with the added bumps here this evening, things getting a little more interesting in that regard, if you will. So with the Whiplash SimCam race details in mind, we can go ahead and go down to the CC's Business starting grid. And starting on pole this evening, Lucas Cram, truck 44. He's got so many pole awards this season at just 5 races. I think this might be the 4th. They're adding up for that 44, certainly, with Gary Sexton starting to the right side. Brandon Howell from 3rd position. Nick Olson will start from 4th. That's our pole sitter. And starting from the 5th spot, Brian Holland alongside Quinn Gingrich. A little further in the field, Indy Cassie will roll off from the 7th position. And, of course, that means Robbie Lyons will start to Indy's outside. A little further back to round out your top 10, Stephen Gale, John Bower wrap up row number 5. There we go. Row number 5 to complete your top 10. Ben McDonald, Dylan Holland, as some more names scroll across the screen. The final moment of clarity, I think, for these drivers as they get ready to go racing for 80 laps at the virtual Daytona International Speedway with all the bumps that you could possibly ask for. And it's getting right down to crunch time for the points. We can, of course, head back to that point standings graphic and talk about where, of course, Nick Olson has that 2-point lead coming into this race. It's 4 points back to Lucas Cram, and things are getting, well, crammed at the top of the points sheet. Ben McDonald not far back. In fact, just 1 point ahead of Indy Cassie. So that little mini battle, 4th and 5th, I think will be very, very interesting to track. With John Bower in 6th, Gavin Jones in 7th, Robbie Lyons tied with Kyle Manger with that 1 race win, trying to climb his way back through the standings. Here the engines come to life, ready to go racing for 80 laps. Virtual Daytona Beach, and there goes Lucas Cram away from the starting grid. Sleeping maybe was the 3, but as everybody gets up to pace speed, we can take a look at what else is upcoming here at Pit Stop TV. That's the wrong one. Well, maybe we won't take a look just yet, but we will take a look before the evening is done at what's upcoming for us at the channel. Verbally, we can go through, and of course, well, this is actually it for this week until Sunday evening. Sunday we'll be taking out to Phoenix Raceway in the virtual Avondale, Arizona. Once the Cup guys get wrapped up, we'll be heading out there ourselves for the Icon Cup Series for their 3rd race of the season. Next week, of course, we come right back to Daytona with these guys. Really no change of scenery, just updated by, 15, I guess 12 years or so. And in between, we actually have something new happening with the Sim Auto Racing Association, the Sarah Super Series. It'll actually be the Sarah 1-8 Coffee. Yeah, 1-8 Coffee Company National Series. They'll be going to Hickory Motor Speedway this coming Tuesday and Thursday. I guess next week, Tuesday and Thursday, March 12th and March 14th, for a couple of super late model races, 150 laps apiece, with some heat races and a last chance qualifier to set the field. I think that'll be very, very interesting. Starting a new series over there with the Sim Auto Racing Association. They've already done one race in that special series, if you will, over the course of 2024. They ran at New Smyrna in kind of a World Series of Asphalt event to get their national series started. Lucas Cram will lead us down into the Geico restart zone into the green flag for round number 5 at the Daytona International Speedway, and we are green. Through 1 and 2, Gary Sexton getting aggressive, moving straight ahead of Lucas Cram. 3 wide down the Daytona super stretch. Brandon Half inside. Nick Olson up top. Quinn Gingrich going to come up and help. Maybe the middle, maybe the top. We'll find out in turn 3. Nick Olson gets hung out to dry. Everybody flocking to that yellow line right on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to, well, that camera angles of the track, trying to move their way forward on these opening couple of opportunities around the Daytona International Speedway. It's tough. With these bumps, it's going to be very, very tough to pass. At the same time, it's that much easier to find a mistake out of one of the drivers maybe that you're trying to pass. It'll be a give and take kind of evening. Well, lap 1 in the books. John Bower back here in 10th position. I think we'll maybe have to keep our eye on the Club Ohio driver. He's going to stay in. No, he's going to drop back, it looks like, with Brian Holland and Brandon Half ever so slightly. Falling back, actually now 3 wide with points leader Nick Olson just around the back of the field. Alex Fox making one of his few starts in the season out of Illinois. Straight into the pack. And having a bit of fun with Indy Cassie to his inside, Ben McDonald up ahead, Stephen Gale around him, Nick Olson behind him. And that was the fastest lap of the race to this point. There we go, a little bit of contact, we're going to crash, lap 3. Watching it live, Indy Cassie is all kinds of torn up. Quinn Gingrich, oh! And Robbie Lyons gets caught up with Indy Cassie spinning across the banking back up the racetrack, and, well, calamity, lap 3. There's the Robbie Lyons machine. And Indy Cassie might need some help getting back around the Wawa number 17, pulling up for a moment, but I think Cassie's 72 just might be giving up the goose. Well, we can take a look back as to what happened here in turns 1 and 2 for Indy Cassie and that number 72 Chevrolet, bottom side of the racetrack, following that Sharpie post-it note looking number 3. Lucas Cram gonna lead. Quinn Gingrich second. McDonald helping Lyons up top, Cassie helping Sexton down low. And they were just ever so slightly 3 wide into the corner. Contact between the 3 and 84. Indy Cassie right hook, kapow, and comes down the track, gets the 16. Back up the track, gets the 2. We saw it all live from Alex Fox's perspective. From the 16 this time, a little bit of contact with the 3 and 84. And everything just comes loose. And for truck number 2, Robbie Lyons, right in the thick of things, just hanging on the right rear there of Quinn, and I think he thought he was 3 wide, and even from the TV camera, it looked like it, but they were ever so slightly not. And here's where Indy came back up. That's tough. Lap 3 heading into turn 1. I mean, you're trying to give all the room you can, and unfortunately, there was no more room to give. From Gary Sexton's perspective. Gingrich up top. Just comes down the racetrack a little bit. Might have also even been trying to follow Lucas Cram. And wow. Big hit for the 72. So John Bower will stay out here on caution number 1. Maybe try to save a little bit of fuel and get a little bit of track position here early. Lucas Cram will work off the pit lane in the distance. Indy Cassie will float into the pit lane. 72 already taking its fast repair, so Indy doesn't have to worry about damage. Unfortunately, for the next 75 laps, Indy's got to be absolutely perfect and not accumulate too much damage to put him out of contention. Of course, you can get a ding or a scratch here and there, but it's going to be a troublesome 75 laps with the 72 truck. Gavin Jones in the pit lane, Dylan Holland there in the foreground. Sean Howell just exited. And this just might be a long race. This actually could be one of the longer races of the season just by nature, with these guys having to work through these bumps lap after lap. That's not easy. That's a very, very tough thing to do. So as these laps wear on, once we get back to a little bit of green flag racing, I think that's something to keep in mind. This was maybe the most difficult track to lap. I think Atlanta was by far the most difficult track to race at. I think this is the most difficult track to lap, which of course then makes it difficult also to race at. Atlanta, though, everything just happens that much faster. Here you have the bumps. It's difficult to squeeze into that tighter racing line around this place. And I think it's fun. I think a lot of drivers would probably agree. This is a ton of fun for these guys to have to contend with. It just gets very, very difficult at times, and we've already seen that with a handful of bits of contact and, of course, that crash in turn number 2. Do want to wish a get well to one of our own, Zach Murtis. Under the weather this evening, was going to be on coverage, and I think maybe for the first time this season, or certainly not more than the second time. But Zach was planning to be here, was planning to roll through 80 laps of Daytona with us, and the commentary booth feels a little bit empty without him. I know I've been solo for much of the season, if not the entire season at this point. But it just feels a little bit empty without Zach here this evening. So as he goes through a very, very rough cold or whatever it is that's ailing him, Zach, thinking about you, and hope you're able to rejoin us next week maybe as we head to Daytona proper and take on the new version of Daytona for the second and final time this season. John Bower going to lead us back to the green in truck number 6. Into the restart zone. We are back green at Legacy Daytona. A much calmer restart that time. Ben McDonald, one of the first, just like Lucas Cram and Alex Fox, to bump up high and try to get momentum going while Bower and Sexton stay down low. and quickly overtaking those trucks on the inside. The Ford F-150s have a new graphical update. This, of course, being build week, week 13 for the iRacing.com sim. Means we get all kinds of updates, some new graphical things. It seems as well that maybe things have changed with motion blur, so the broadcast might look slightly different, but Lucas Cram leading the way. 2 Fords up top, 1 Ford down low with that new kind of blackout on the grille. Say it looks pretty mean, just like the Dark Horse. McDonald, Olsen, and Bower lining up down low. Sexton joins the effort up top alongside, well, I guess behind Stephen Gale. So 7 trucks lead the way. Brett Baldeck sits back. By the way, congratulations to Brett. New opportunity with the World Racing Group. He'll be a pit reporter in sprint car races this season. Not with the World of Outlaws, but actually you can see the logo on the hood, the American Sprint Car Series. So Brett getting a big opportunity to begin 2024. He's going to fall to the back end of the field, though, at least the back end of the pack, as there's a bit of separation back to guys who are either already damaged or already used their fast repair in the case of Indy Cassie, and even Robbie Lyons, and even Quinn Gingrich, or guys who just want to lay back in case of an impending caution, as we might, whoa, that was close with Nick Olsen, but the Grit 24 will jump up high. And Daytona has been pretty good at car number 24 in 2024, so I'd say watch out for Nick Olsen this evening. Indy Cassie fastest that lap as the 72 sits back out of this lead group. And Alex Fox making his, I believe, first or second start of the season. Have not seen much of car 22. He's starting to move up. Third on the outside lane. Just behind Lucas Cram, kind of keeping that staggered approach. That way he can get some air to the nose, maybe see a little further ahead. And right now the top side just seems so much easier to maintain. And even earlier, taking laps around here in a couple of different cars, just familiarizing myself with Legacy Daytona. The top just feels so much more comfortable. So I admire these guys that are going down low and fighting through those bumps where they're just that much worse. McDonald, Bower, Sexton, all working the bottom, and there goes Lucas Cram to do the same and take over the race lead. Lap number 11, Nick Olsen squeezing the 16. Thankfully, no contact. We can go back in the field a little bit and ride on board here with car number 88. This is Brian Holland working through the bumps. This is down low. And in 1 and 2, we'll take a truck that's working the top side. But Brian Holland down low, big bumps down there in turn 4. Quinn Gingrich, he's also low. Robbie Lyons, though, on the top side. Even through the tri-oval, big difference. You go higher, the track is just a bit smoother. You go low, you'll even see it here from Robbie's perspective. You'll see those trucks in the bottom bounce around just a bit more. $18 trucks in all this evening. A decently healthy field, and I think it'd be more than interesting over the course of 80 laps. But we've gotten to that kind of hurry up and wait mode already, where these guys, I think, have been scared off by the lap 3 crash we had in turn 1. And they're starting to realize, yeah, we just got to get through this race. Holland jumping out of line for a moment, and here comes Robbie Lyons. No fast repair, no worries for the 2 truck as Alex Fox tried to get to the inside of the 24 of Nick Olsen. Olsen drops down low in front of Lucas Cram. Now back up top, playing Pied Piper a little bit with Alex Fox and Lucas Cram. And that top side going to push right to the outside, right to the right rear quarter panel of the 24 if they get an opportunity. No dice that time. They end up falling back, kind of dissolving. But a big adjustment there from the 44 and the 24. Graham went high. Olsen read it. Now Graham back down low. And they lead their respective lines. They're teammates, sure, but that doesn't mean they have to race like it. And drivers behind them reacting, giving a little bit of space as they head back down the short chute and into turn number 1. Olsen leading early. He's going to pull that 22 of Fox down the backstretch. And they'll likely stay high here, but the bottom is going to pull right back to them in turns 3 and 4. Watch Lucas Graham, and there you go. Alex Fox going to jump down and try to take the race lead here on lap 14, and that just might work out. Truck 22 going to take point and lead us around to the tri-oval. I don't think anybody's going to touch that. Sure enough, Alex Fox, lap lead. McDonald then shifts to third in line. You see him giving that room to Lucas ahead. And I think by this point, 5 races in, these guys have got the bump drafting characteristics down. If they weren't already familiar with how to race on a plate track, I think they've pretty well figured it out. You see McDonald immediately giving that room. Don't want to push the pusher. So we may see some of the toughest racing of the season here. We may also see some of the smartest racing of the season as we work back into the tri-oval. Truck 22 down low again. Fox with the race lead. Talk about the bumps. This is how difficult it is to line up the bumpers. Alex Fox looking back at Lucas Graham to see just how much each truck is moving around, dancing. And there goes Lucas to the top side. McDonald to help the bottom, and 3 wide. Gary Sexton gets rid of the 24. Olsen will jump in line in front of Robbie Lyons. That's what teammates are for. But an aggressive move there out of the 3, who is very much in this race and making it known. This might be the most aggressive we've seen Gary Sexton this early in a race. It's refreshing. Stephen Gale down low, Kyle Dagger just behind. A little bit of a gap, though. And the bottom side is doing fantastic, I think, in giving periodic gaps. The top looks like it as well, although the top side just doesn't have any momentum. The further you go back in the line, you have those 4 trucks that are packed up, and that's about it. Otherwise, it's guys just riding around, biding their time. Gavin Jones, he might be trying to get up here, but he's far from up here at the moment. Lead change there at the line. Lucas Graham, a big push from Gary Sexton, going to move ahead of the 22 at least for a moment. A bottom side comes right back through the bottom of the corner. And we're coming up on halfway in the stage. These drivers have run now about 10 green flag laps in this tank of fuel, which means they've got about 10 more to go, maybe 12 in some cases. A bit less than that, though, for John Bower. Remember, he stayed out at that caution, and while he definitely saved fuel under that yellow, he has not been to pit lane. He did not top off. He has that pace lap at the beginning as well. Lap 0, if you will. So while Bower has track position, while he has a few laps led for a bonus point, he's got a lot of work to do in the fuel category, and if he has to pit on his own, that's stage 1 written off for the 6 truck. Of course, we invite you to follow along with Pit Stop TV's social media, race updates, and more. You'll always know when we have a broadcast, when we're going live. And in case you're just joining us, maybe a little bit late to tonight's broadcast, well, you can avoid that next time by seeing when we're going live and when Lucas Cram might be going for pole again next week when we head back here to Daytona for race number 6. Very close for the race lead, Alex Fox. Lucas Cram still now on lap 20. While this race continues on, we're going to go Pit Stop TV, Sounds of the Sim. I'll turn my mic off for a minute and let you guys just listen and ride on board. And those are the sounds of the sim. Pit stop now for John Bower along with Stephen Gale. Bower realizing, of course, he can't go much further. He's now gone 23 laps. He is at the extent of what a tank of fuel can do. And how nice of Stephen Gale to go ahead and join the number 6. They'll both be able to pit, get some fuel, and run on their own here for a little bit, which might actually be a blessing in disguise. There they go out of the pit lane. 9 seconds and change. Bit of work to do once they get back onto the racetrack, though, and get back up to speed. Now, this could spark a bit of a movement down to the pit lane for some, but I think for the most part, this field's going to stay on the racetrack. They have fuel still. They can keep going. And, of course, why would you want to pit from the race lead if you're like Robbie Lyons, who just took it over lap number 24, truck number 2 to the front? And I maintain the stance that I'm rather surprised these guys are utilizing the bottom more than the top. I really thought we'd see a top-dominant race. I really thought we'd see these guys roll around, maybe in a line on the top side for the most part, with stragglers down low. Although the field now getting in line on the bottom tells me maybe we are in line for some pit stops. A little bit earlier than I expected. I mean, we're 19 laps into the run, and that's including caution laps. And nobody just yet. When Gingrich dropping back, leaving a gap now up to Gary Sexton and company. And that's really your top 5 that is in the windshield here of Gingrich. Lucas Cram, Alex Fox, Robbie Lyons, Gary Sexton, and Brandon Houth. By the way, how about the job the 9 truck has done recently? If you go back to the point standings, he is now second as he pushes Robbie Lyons here. Of course, teammates with Nick Olson, teammates with Robbie Lyons, teammates with Lucas Cram. Seems like everybody under that Grit Marketing umbrella here. But has been driving through the field, getting the best results that you can possibly ask for from the number 9. aside from maybe going up there and getting a couple of wins. Want to give our nod to our partners with the series, working lap 26 of 80. There goes Half to get in line. Just got to wait on Lions to find a hole. But a big nod, of course, to Sunwest Construction having our backs this season, as well as Lucky Motorsports Solutions, a partner of the series, supporting the broadcast and being here for our Wednesday night plate racing fun. On turn 4 this time, here we go. Pit stops from most of the field. Lucas Cram, Brandon Half, and so many others as you have a group of cars staying out. Most everybody coming in here on lap 26. Lucas Cram comes in. There goes Alex Fox to his box. Brandon Half. Quinn Gingrich and Brandon Half going to have to get back into his box. Absolutely overshot it. That's going to kill the 9 here early in this race. You'll see Lucas pull away in just a moment. There he goes. And Alex Fox leading the charge back onto the racetrack. Brandon Half recovered nicely. Still gets out with the race leaders as, here we go, Nick Olson and company heading down to the pit lane. That's going to include the Hollands and Indy Cassie. Ryan Holland might have been speeding. So pit stops here for this bunch. Brett Baldick and Gavin Jones go 1 lap down. Unsure as to what happened here to Baldick. It may have, I think that was a speeding penalty. I'm not sure what else it could have been. So a speeding penalty for the 4. And a speeding penalty maybe for the 12 of Gavin Jones. They each have extended stays in the pit lane and will drop to the back end of the field. You can go back and look maybe as to what happened to them. So here goes the 12 into the pit lane. Where's the 4? He's further back. Definitely wasn't speeding. The only thing I can think of, and we'll have to verify if the 12 did this, Gavin Jones and Brett Baldick, they both come in real shallow. And you see the 16 adjust. I think they missed the pit cone, and I think iRacing gave them an unsafe pit entry penalty for that, which is absolutely bizarre, but kind of makes sense. I have never seen that. There's the cone, and yeah, the 16 forces his way back over. Baldick goes right under the cone as well. I have never seen that. I don't think that's a rule at most tracks. I don't think there's that cone necessarily. I think the commitment zone is much larger, much wider. I have never ever seen that, but that is going to change this race rather drastically, at least for those couple of trucks. They are both on the lead lap for, well, Gavin Jones on the lead lap for now, as Lucas Cram is going to shove the 22 to the outside of Brian Holland. Even Olsen is going to ditch the 88. Truck 22 back to the race lead, lap 29. Lucas Cram, though, going to jump up in front of Nick Olsen and utilize that top side as Brandon Half goes purple, and a blink out of Alex Fox. Big one. Big blink. Move there from the 24, Nick Olsen down to the bottom side. 11 laps to go in the stage. And quickly moving towards paying out for the one stage of this race. You see the 1 lap truck up high. That is Gavin Jones. The field is going to squeeze like a lemon. And, oh, that got close. Nicely done. 30 laps complete, 50 to go, 10 to go in stage 1. Oh, that's all kinds of out of line. Jeez. And Bower's going to drop way down into the grass. That might not end well. He gets back on. A lot of right rear damage compared to what he had prior. They're getting antsy. They're really starting to mix things up. That was wild. It seemed like all 4 trucks that were in the top lane at the time were completely out of lane at one point, had to get a turn 1, and now Olsen drops down aggressively in front of Robbie Lyons. That'll leave Brandon House to control the top side of the racetrack. Olsen down low. Lyons got a little bit tight there at a turn number 4, up the racetrack ever so slightly. And if this was for the win, that might have been a new closest finish. It was real close. Brandon House, though, the advantage of the turn 1. In my opinion, this is a no-brainer. I want to be on the top side of the racetrack. There's a lot of guys, though, again, flocking to the bottom, using that bottom to their advantage. It's a bit impressive for sure. Just not what I would expect, as there goes Gary Sexton. A big move to the inside of the racetrack. He'll take over the race lead. Almost contact there in turn 3, but truck number 3 to the race lead at Daytona. Brandon Half going to surge back for the start-finish line, and at the line, it's still Half across with the race lead, but Gary Sexton leading that bottom. The 24 commits. The 3 just might go forward. The big thing, though, is that Nick Olsen has to commit to the back end of the 3. Robbie Lyons going to drop out and fall backwards. And that's really going to handicap the bottom. You see how much they fell back automatically. Gingrich clear, he'll drop. Indy Cassie moving around, he'll go to the top side. And a lot of our usual players are not up in the top 5 or even 6 or even 7. Nick Olsen, Lucas Cram, they're 8th and 9th. I think they sense something happening with this pack. The top side looking stronger. Oh, real strong now with John Bower going up top. By the way, what a save of a strategy for Bower. Him pitting with Stephen Gale kept both of them in the race. Of course, Gale could have pitted with anybody, but real nice work there between the 6 and 52. There'll be 6 laps to go in stage 1 at the stripe. Brandon Half up top, Indy Cassie down low. Indy Cassie working without a fast repair. Very, very aggressive from the 72 to go ahead and do that, but impressive for sure that he's driven back through this field. Again, it's tough to pass. You definitely can. We've seen that, but it's tough to get through the field from the back to the front. So props to the 72 truck for doing that so far. Quinn Gingrich, Gary Sexton moving around a ton, though, and Nick Olsen took note. He backs off. Dylan Holland now looking low. He wants to make it 3 in a turn 3. Hangs right on the left rear as Brian Holland works the top side of the racetrack. And there goes Ben McDonald down from the attic to the basement. He's looking for position number 1 out of turn 4. Gingrich was out of shape, and Half will still lead the lap. Dylan Holland, welcome to position number 2. Brian gonna blink. And there goes Dylan to the bottom side. Just about skins the nose of the 16 of Ben McDonald, but truck 17 to the race lead. The whole pack is within these camera shots. But sure enough, the top side now picking up that momentum, exactly what I expected coming into the race, but what has not been the case for the most part. But Lucas Graham back to the top, back to the front via the top. He's pushing teammate Brandon Half now for the race lead. And to the start-finish line that time, separated by just hundredths of a second. Dylan Holland with the race lead thanks to Ben McDonald. And that 16 has been one of the best pushers throughout the season. 5 races in now, and it seems like McDonald was always pushing somebody up front. It might not be for the lead, it might be for 4th or 5th or 6th or whatever it might be, but in the top 10 certainly, and usually up front. I don't know that it's going to be a race-winning kind of push from the 16, but definitely if you want to go forward during the race, in the mid portion of the race, it seems like you want to be on the nose of the 16 truck moving forward. I say that, and through the tri-oval, race lead, truck number 9, Brandon Half at the line that time. And squeezing to the top side, Nick Olson trying to make it 3 wide on Stephen Gale. Brett Baldeck going to go with the 24, a little bit surprised by that. The third line trying to materialize, and now Nick going to drop back in line. He is currently out of the top 10, trying to make it into the top 10 for some points. Going to squeeze back up there to turn 3. We saw how tight it was to get by the lap truck earlier of Gavin Jones, and now Nick's trying to do it for position. That's going to be tough sledding. Two laps to go, stage 1. Nearly a dead heat across the stripe. Trucks 9 and 17. And the kicker in all of this, the 17 and 88 are on the same internet. Both Hollands. And you can tell because when one blinks, the other blinks. And 3 wide we go. Gary Sexton to the top of the racetrack. Gonna try and get Nick Olson to push in the 24. And Nick will come to the rescue. Stephen Gale moving around, but you see just how tightly packed they are. 3 wide, contact with the 52 and 24. White flag in stage number 1, this time by That's the Field. Across the stripe, through the tri-oval. That is all kinds of scary. 3 wide we go. And Gary Sexton into turn 1, has the race lead. Half drops down in front of Holland. That leaves Lucas Cram in the middle. That might have been a mistake to leave the 44 unblocked. Now they move around into turn 2. They slide all over the place. Contact between, I think, Gale and Olson through turn 2. Breathe for a moment and do it all over again in turns 3 and 4. The top side has fallen back. We get right back to that original orientation. The 17 down low, the 9 up top. It'll be a drag race to complete stage number 1. A move there from Lucas Cram. Ben McDonald trying to push the 17 and across the stripe. Dylan Holland, stage winner. Would you look at that? Would you just look at it? Dylan Holland. Dylan Holland, the stage McWinner, maybe we can say. Interestingly enough, Dylan Holland, Nick Olson, and Brian Holland are all in the same Discord channel. We can grab our stage winner. On the cool-down lap from the stage, Dylan Holland, you're the stage winner at Daytona, but bumpy. How does that feel? 3 laps led, right at the end of the stage, just to get that stage win.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. I think the truck's running pretty well. I messed up my pit stop just a little bit, but was able to kind of work the top of the racetrack just a little bit, and I was able to work my way to the front.
And Dylan, through 5 races now, we've seen some decent teamwork out of you and Brian, but it also seems like when you guys split up, you tend to move to the front more. Is that maybe a difference in driving style or maybe a difference in prioritization? What's going on there?
No, I honestly think it's just a little bit of luck. Just kind of whichever line kind of works out. I mean, sometimes he'll work his way to the front. Sometimes I'll work my way to the front. I think just there, I think we got split up on the pit stop just a little bit. To the top of the racetrack, and I think he just got stuck on the bottom, but yeah.
And of course, this track isn't easy to race around as a pack. You can do it maybe in a single file line, okay. Sometimes 2 wide is still okay. We got 3 there for a little bit. Does that kind of test of 3 wide make you any more confident for later in the race, considering there was no crash at the end of the stage?
I mean, just a little bit, but I mean, I know towards the end of the race, we're going to get a lot more aggressive. I think we were aggressive there, but nothing compared to the end of the race. So I think we'll definitely start seeing some crashes later in the run.
Well, as you guys work down the pit lane, we'll let you get back to it with your teammates. But congratulations, Stage 1 winner.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dylan Holland gets a chance to pit here, along with the rest of the field. I wouldn't expect to see anybody stay out, aside from our lap down trucks of Brett Baldick and Gavin Jones. And Holland, a bit deep in the box, as was everybody. It seems like everybody just had to reverse and is still adjusting. Big time issues with that pit cycle. There goes Lucas Cram. Gary Sexton waiting to pull away. There's the number 3 up close and personal. And everybody's starting to pull away, but looks like Sexton goes for 4 tires. I admire that move for sure. Lucas Cram, Indy Cassidy going to lead the charge back onto the racetrack. And Ben McDonald just pushed the 17 to a stage win. Let's dial up driver 16. His mic is muted in Discord. We'll see if we can get a hold of him, though. And Ben McDonald, you have a copy?
Got you, man.
Well, Ben, we've seen you do a whole lot of pushing in this season thus far. It seems like oftentimes the 16 is pushing somebody to the front. That was the case there at the end of stage 1. How do you try and turn the tides, though, and be the one getting pushed to the win later on?
I think at this point, just try to survive until the end. But if I am up there and I am pushing somebody, push them out too far in front and then hopefully make a move on them.
And of course, that grit logo adorns a lot of the trucks in this league, but it's kind of mismatched efforts. Some guys work together, some guys kind of don't. Seems like it's a difference in maybe racing style. Where do you fit into all of that? Are you kind of like a lone wolf carrying the logo? How does that work?
Tonight, that is the case. I kind of just wanted to be by myself, just see how I can race with no real teammates. But obviously, everybody pits around the same time, so there's really no problem with that. Just gotta pick and choose your battles there. And yeah, just hoping that I can just make it to the end. Usually at the end, there is really no teammates, so just gotta do what I can to stay up at the front and hopefully get a victory.
And Ben, how about this racetrack in particular? It seems like, of course, well, it doesn't seem like it. We know there's a lot more bumps on the bottom, a lot more crazy elevation changes through the corners. The top side's a little more smooth. Is there a place that you're particularly comfortable, low versus high?
I mean, for pushing, neither. I mean, I did really good both sides, but if I'm out in front, I'd probably say the outside just because it's smoother, can really build up a run. And a lot of the times you're not going to have too many 3-wide moves, especially for how bumpy it is. So once it does come down to it, hopefully the 3-wide does. It's probably going to happen either way, but hopefully we can just make it through and hopefully not wreck at the end and hopefully strive for a good finish here.
Well, Ben, a couple of laps led already. Almost a stage win. You pushed the guy to the stage win. Best of luck here in stage 2.
All right, thank you, man.
So Ben McDonald on his own, and where did that move him? Okay, he's in the right spot in Discord. But Ben McDonald kind of on his own, a little bit lone wolf, even though he's carrying that grit logo. And we've seen kind of different alliances throughout the course of the season. And even if we just take a gander at the league Discord, you've got Kyle Dager, Lucas Cram, Stephen Gale, John Bower, and Brandon Half in the same channel. Then you've got Gavin Jones, Robbie Lyons, Jacob McMillan, Alex Fox, Gary Sexton, Sean Howell, Brett Baldick, and Quinn Gingrich. So it's like 2 big groups. Then you have the Hollands and Nick Olson, and then you have Ben McDonald. Now through that pit cycle under caution, of course, you see most of the field lined up on the bottom of the track. That, of course, is because all of those guys topped off towards the end of the caution. But we'll be able to turn them loose one more time at the legacy scan of Daytona International Speedway. Green flag once again in the old Daytona 200. A big jump ahead and a big jump to single file for most of the field. McDonald drops back to 4th position. Howe still has no help. Now he gets it from Cassie. But out front, 4 trucks, single file. Lucas Cram, John Bower, Gary Sexton. Now the 3 jumps up high. He doesn't have help yet, but he'll have it on corner exit. As here comes the 9 of Brandon Half, but does he stay behind the 3? Does he go high? He will jump right in behind Gary Sexton. And things kind of calm down for a moment. First lap complete from the caution. Brett Baldeck was able to get the lucky dog, so Gavin Jones still races 1 lap down. Otherwise, 17 trucks in the lead lap. The only exception up front is actually your stage winner, Dylan Holland, is, for whatever reason, 11 seconds off pace on his own. The Stage 1 winner might not have a chance here in Stage 2 if we go green. We haven't yet seen much of the 84 since the initial caution of the race. In fact, we've just seen the 1 incident so far, but Quinn Gingrich is here, was a part of that lap 3 crash, has used his fast repair. I think that's massively going to affect the racing you see here from Quinn. The 84 has been kind of MIA since that crash, though he's been as high as 4th position. I think the Carvana Jimmy Johnson 84 truck will be leaning towards the back of the field still for a while, at least through that second pit stop cycle, if not further. And if I was Quinn, I'd be doing the same thing. No fast repair. These guys still have it. They're racing like it. As you see that block from Gary Sexton, I would absolutely sit back and just try to save my truck right now. And even where Quinn is, there's very little reaction time. But yeah, of course, have to stay in the field. Working up to 30 laps to go. Just the 1 truck off pace, the 1 truck 1 lap down. Otherwise, everybody is up front. Everybody's in this race. A chance to win. And I think even Gavin Jones being 1 lap down, even Dylan Holland being out of the draft, those guys have a pretty solid chance. See the way these guys are racing, pushing up front. Indy Cassie giving all kinds of help to Brandon Half through the tri-oval, the short chute, and into turn 1. I'm not saying the 72 is going to wreck anybody, but when these guys get pushing like that, get racing like that, cautions are always imminent. They're always a possibility, even at no fault to the drivers. A freak accident can happen. A bit of netcode maybe, and it can all unravel. One more shout while we have a chance to our league partners, of course, with the SARG Superspeedways series, the Sim Auto Racing Group. This would not be possible without SunWest Construction. And they have been a fantastic partner all season long. And I believe a historical partner with this series as well. They're very good to have the SunWest Construction name on board, be able to have that logo on the broadcast. And as these guys get mixing up, they're hoping to get lucky. One of them, at least, will get lucky later on in this race at the end of 50 laps. So a big shout out as well to Lucky Motorsports Solutions. They just had a fantastic weekend down at Carolina Motorsports Park. They had a Honda Civic racing. I believe they had a Mazda Miata racing. You can get involved with Lucky Motorsports Solutions on social media and learn how you can get in one of their cars today. Gary Sexton now the leader down low, the line leader, if you will. He was nominated at lunch. John Bower, second place down bottom. The 16 follows him behind. That's Ben McDonald. He's back up here. Stephen Gale Nick Olsen in that bottom line as well, which then means more of the strong drivers in this race have moved high. I think Sexton has been very strong. Bower has been kind of hit or miss. But Lucas Graham, Brandon Half, they were just in line up top. Now Brandon drops down. He's going to utilize the 3, go to the front, and move up top in the middle of the corner and block the 44. What a move. A sequence of moves from the 9. And a move for the race lead there works out for Lucas Cram. Now he'll jump right back up in front of the 9. It's like a rotating flex, it feels like, between these two. Half goes for the move one end of the racetrack. Cram does it back the other end. The 9 truck not yet clear, and it looks like he'll have to wait at least another lap as McDonald works on the apron for a moment. He sits way back. A big gap down low. Cassie could drop down there. Lyons could drop down there. Neither one will, and they will stay dead even, side by side through turn number 4. Racing for the lead, Lucas Cram up top. He's going to have it to the stripe. Lap 52 complete. Still 28 to go. Big pushes there from the 9, and he goes to the bottom again, trying to make it the bottom line. Gary Sexton eventually lets him down low. That was close, though, for a moment. And the top side has all kinds of momentum, even back through Quinn Gingrich now getting in line. And there's intensity kind of ramping up. Not really sure why. There's still a pit stop cycle to go. It's like these guys just, they get it right now. They want to go race. Olsen, Holland, they fall back. Up front, Gary Sexton, a big adjustment there through turns 1 and 2, but it's Brandon Half, Lucas Cram, Gary Sexton, Indy Cassie, then John Bower, Robbie Lyons, Ben McDonald, Brett Baldick, Stephen Gale, and finally Alex Fox completing your top 10 through turns 1 and 2 and down the backstretch. Here's the onboard with truck number 16, Ben McDonald. Had a pretty solid outlook under that caution break for the stage break. Bit of blinking though, and that's always a challenge. Always a challenge. Lucas Cram, another lap led, and if you look at the laps led stat on the right side of the ticker, 16 for Lucas Cram, 7 for Brandon Half, 4 for Gary Sexton, 2 for Robbie Lyons, 3 for John Bower, and it just kind of trickles on down. Nick Olsen in 13th, he's kind of one of the oddities, along with Dylan Holland. They each have 5 laps led, and you see that 17 actually now in the picture. Rolling at $1.65, Dylan Holland will have to let these guys go by on the bottom of the short chute to the trioval. Brandon Half moving around, playing Pied Piper, and he's going to lead as they lap Dylan Holland. Up front, big move there. Lucas Cram from the top down to the bottom. He's going to use Gary Sexton to go forward and goes right back to the top side. You see Gary was going to go with him for a moment. We're just kind of drawn that way by the movement. And now Gary maybe going to have an opportunity to push to the lead. It never ceases to amaze me how the 44 and the 9 make those kind of quick moves on the fly. Especially here. Here in Atlanta, the 2 tracks that really just kind of boggle my mind as the broadcaster. It all happens so quickly. These guys make these moves without fear, it seems like. If I was Indy Cassie, I would be nothing but fearful of this situation and the fact that Indy is running 5th and trying to move forward. sure, you want to try and win the race. You want to move forward in this race, but with Brandon Houff going back down to the bottom, trying to make it to the bottom side, Sexton letting him in. He's going to try and do the same thing through the corner. And Brandon will actually stay down low, so Lucas Graham going to get a push ahead now by Indy Cassie. And the 44 is very much going to have the lead at the line, but any one thing could go wrong again for the 72. No fast repair in the bank for the 72, the 2 of the 84. We'll close the end of that pit cycle. We'll go back to the Whiplash SimCam's race details. 19 to 22 laps. Well, the run so far about 15, including pace laps under yellow. Expect these guys in the pit lane around lap 63 maybe. I mean lap 63 and I'd say lap 66. Pretty good range as Cassie moves around a little bit. Second place on the outside. And it seems like Gary Sexton simply has not been out of the picture at all. Only as low as 12th, but I think that was through one of the pit cycles. Whether it was under caution or during green. Seems like the 3 has been in the picture literally the entire race. We have not seen him. .21 laps to go, and that is where the pit window opens. So we could see one of these guys pit now, or a handful of these guys pit now, and work to the end of the race, and just have enough fuel. That said, that would not accommodate for any kind of green-white checkered. And as Indy Cassie pushes the 44 back to the race lead, and Brandon Houff has to suffer ever so slightly. Again, these guys racing double file like this, 6 rows deep like this, a caution is imminent, more or less. Every single lap, every single corner. Not saying anybody in particular is going to do anything wrong, but absolutely anything can happen at any moment. Kyle Dager got out of shape through the tri-oval. Solid adjustment out of Gavin Jones to sit back and make sure nothing happened. Brandon Houff, the race leader out of turn 2. It's been one of those nights. The race leader out of turn 2. Lucas Graham, though, with a shove from behind. That's the 72, of course. But the bottom getting a sudden surge of momentum. It might be tough for Lucas to get back to the lead this lap. I say that, and he takes it right back away. I think he's going to try and move down. Yes, he will. Move down right in front of the 9 of Brandon Houff and take the race lead properly into turn 1. And so he gets to play Pied Piper out of turn 2 here. He absolutely will. The problem is Houff now is clear and can move around too. Where do these two go? They're going to stay in line for now, both on the bottom. Actually, a nice view of where there is and is not momentum right now. Of course, you have the couple of tandems leading their lines. Graham and Houff down low. Cassie and Lyons up top. And shortly behind, they each have some help. But then there's a bit of a gap, especially on the top side. A big gap from the 17 to the 12. And the 17 isn't even racing for position. That's Dylan Holland, who's 1 lap down with Gavin Jones. This is the lap where I would expect maybe to start to see the first takers to the pit lane. Otherwise, the next handful of laps, as everybody will stay put on the racetrack. So now to lap 64. I think 65, 66 will be the money laps, which leave about 15 to the end of the race. With that in mind, though, nobody is getting in line on the bottom. Nick Olson, Brian Holland, they're starting to move forward. On the top side of the racetrack, they've each run 20 laps now. Well, this is their 20th lap on this tank of fuel. And look at the run they're going to have. Will Olson go high? No, he'll stay right behind the lap trucks of Jones and Holland. It was a big run for a moment out of the 24 and 88. Glad they throttled back, and here we go, pit stops. Lap 64, Lucas Cram gonna bring it on in with most everybody accompanying him. Only about 7 trucks will stay out. So Lucas Cram, Robbie Lyons, Kyle Dager, Ben McDonald, Brandon Houff, Gary Sexton, Don Bower, Brett Baldeck, and Stephen Gale all pit here on lap 64 on to 65. And that leaves Indy Cassie to lead, and he actually just got shuffled out of line, down to the apron. He's going to have to find a gap to get back in. He should have it here, right in front of Sean Howell, and he will. Gavin Jones rides with this bunch of leaders, making it 8 trucks in total. And they should be pitting this time out of turn 4, and they will be. Gonna make sure to stay above the cone, though. We learned that the first time through pit stops. And that looks clean for the most part. Brandon Houff won the race off a pit lane for that first group. He will lead the charge with Gary Sexton a ways back, Lucas Cram. Then Robbie Lyons, Brett Baldeck a little further back, and that's kind of the meat and potatoes of the group. Is behind the 16. The 6 is on his own. Stephen Gale is on his own with Kyle Dager somewhat close behind, and Gavin Jones will be with most of the group that just pitted. Nick Olson got down and away quickly, but he'll be on his own while Alex Fox, Indy Cassie, and everybody else work off the pit lane. And these are your leaders. Now, where will Lucas Cram be able to go with Gary Sexton on his nose? Nick Olson is way up here. He was very quick in the pit cycle, and he's going to get swallowed up. It's going to be very, very tough for Olson not to drop, I'd say, well through this pack. Of course, he was sitting back, likely saving, took a little bit less fuel. Usually that would help. On a plate track, though, not so much. And here comes the field. Nick Olson, a sitting duck. There goes Gary Sexton up top. Lucas Cram as well. And the 2 of Robbie Lyons with a run. He'll go to the top side of the 24. Ben McDonald going to pick up the 24, it looks like. And we're all a happy family once again. Just a little bit split up from what we've seen through the rest of this race. Olson picking back up. Big block from Lucas Cram. Big block from Gary Sexton. 3 wide we go for the race lead. Olson going to push Robbie Lyons on through, and the 2 will take over the race lead. Lap 67 of 80. As we had that big coming together of most of the pack. Now Houff and Sexton work together. Sexton gets right to the back of Nick Olson, who jumps up with a block. From hero to zero to hero again for Nick Olson, your points leader. Was the fastest in the pit lane, got swallowed up, and comes right back up to the race lead. There are a couple of trucks that are out of the group, one of them being Brian Holland. So Holland's continue to have problems. He is here on his own, some 29 seconds behind McMillan. He had, it looks like, a pit penalty under that cycle. "12 laps to go, that time across the stripe." Olsen leading. Gary Sexton helping. Down low, it's Lyons with help from McDonald. And wow! I can't believe the way these guys make these moves. Absolutely can't believe it. And there you go. Brian Holland just ahead. He'll go a lap down this time as a big move comes from the 2 truck of Robbie Lyons. He shoots to the top side of the racetrack. And they'll come around and lap the 88 this time by contact net code. And are they going to save it? Barely. But we stay green. No crash. No crash yet. Wow, what a catch from Robbie Lyons and everybody else. And we pack back up like nothing ever happened. We keep racing. Sexton, though, trying to work something. He just can't. Not from third place in the line with a lap down truck behind him. Two-time race winner down low. That's Nick Olsen, your points leader. One-time race winner at Talladega earlier this season up top. That's Robbie Lyons. And he's going to work ahead to an advantage. Now Half goes way to the bottom of the track, and you can tell just how out of shape the 2 was there for a moment, even from the onboard. Olsen now going to go to the top side of the racetrack, trying to block the 2. They get all kinds of out of shape. Big moves all around. Cassie was on the apron. 3 wide will send the 3 of Sexton back. 10 laps to go at Daytona International Speedway, but bumpy. The advantage now to truck number 9 down low. McDonald, surprise, surprise, pushing him. Just seems like the 16 is always there, always pushing somebody who's going for the race lead. Now a block. Olsen drops down in front of the 9. They'll link up and start to make hay. Lyons, though, has got help from somebody who's a lap down. It's Holland, and now the top 2 jump up high in front of the 2. Olsen drops back down in front of McDonald, so flip-flop who was where. Olsen to the bottom, Half up top. Literally anything can happen. Oh, Nick Olsen goes down low, tries to come back up top. McDonald lets him in, and that completely congests the bottom side and takes everything away from their run. Cram goes down to match the 2 of Robbie Lyons. They're going to fire through on the bottom. They both get clear. Lyons with the race lead. We'll have 8 to go this time at the stripe. The 44 jumps up top. He'll go for the race lead, and I think he's going to have it at the stripe. Yes, he will. Lucas Cram across the line. Brandon Half second. The 2 of Robbie Lyons just trying to figure out what the heck just happened. And look at the 88 of Brian Holland. He's a lap down, trying to get his lap back the hard way maybe, as Robbie Lyons dances around, tries to find something here with 8 to go. And there goes McDonald to the apron. He'll get back in line. This lap truck of Holland is going to muck things up a little bit. But there goes Gary Sexton. He's back in the party. Three of Sexton has been fantastic tonight. Just keeps getting shuffled out of line. This time, though, across the stripe, he's second. Getting help from Brandon Half, one of the best pushers in the series. While Lucas Cram has a lap truck on his back bumper. And if Holland were to suddenly get real loyal to the 44, that might spell disaster for the rest. Although there they go up the racetrack. The 3 moves up in front of the 44. And that shuffles things around once again. So Half, the bottom side leader, with the 2 behind, that's Robbie Lyons. That changes because Sexton goes back low. Big block into 3. We'll have 7 to go this time. Sexton moves up. He might get shuffled out of line again. He will. 3 wide. And Dylan Holland now comes up to help the 3. Nearly gets him out of shape. These guys just don't want to work with the 3 of Sexton. The 44 will take the race lead back away. Brandon Half down low. There they go. Crashing is the 17 of Holland. One other truck slow, but we will keep it together and keep it green. Dylan Holland in trouble once again. Quinn Gingrich as well. And that's the 84. The leaders, though, stay green. Keep it together. Nick Olson back into this party. Alex Fox moving around. He goes low. Ben McDonald now is about the furthest back we've seen him all night. He's 8th. To the stripe this time. 5 laps to go. That is the race across the stripe. With a lap truck ahead. And wow, the 2 got sideways. Not even sideways. I wouldn't even use the word sideways. He was swaying, though, in the short chute to turn number 1. McMillan will stay on the racetrack. He'll go high and allow these guys room on the bottom side. Into turn 3. Lucas Cran, the race leader, going to come around and get 4 to go this time by. Everybody good on fuel. The top, though, bunching back together. The bottom now has fewer trucks. McDonald even on the top side. He's going to have to let Gavin Jones go through. Jones a lap down. 4 laps to go. Another truck up ahead. That'll be John Bower in the 6. They're 3 wide for 5th place. Gary Sexton up top. Indy Cassie in the middle. The 22 of Fox down low. I don't know if that's going to work out. Not with the blinking we're seeing. Bower in the 6, currently on the bottom of the racetrack. I think he'll stay there. Lucas Cram, Brandon Houff, they come up to this. And now Bower goes from the basement to the attic. He'll go high. 3 laps to go this time by. If they can make it there. Big move out of Gary Sexton. He goes back up top. No help. No help for the 3. Now he gets some. Nick Olson pulls up. I believe that was the duo that was trying to make it happen in stage 1 as well. The 3 and the 24. Well, they're back together here. As they're all just moving all around. These trucks have worn these tires now for the better part of 40 laps. I'm sure at least the left sides might have seen a couple of 2-tire stops during the green flag cycle. Brennan Half down low. Lucas Cram goes down to block that, and I don't know. I might have been keen to keep the 88 behind me. That changes, and they're all squeezing together out of turn 4. The 3 getting squeezed. He's trying to power to the front, though, and he will almost have the lead across the stripe. 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks in the air at Daytona. Cassie gonna move around. He goes up top behind Olson. Down low, it's Half and Lyons. In the middle, it's a lap truck. That's Holland. Three abreast they stay. 2 rows deep. Your top 5 in that bunch. They get 7 with Fox and Cassie getting side by side of the 88 of Holland. Sexton will stay up top. Working the wall. He brings the 24 down. Lucas Cram doesn't want to lift. There they go! Lucas Cram in the middle. If he had just let him come down, that wouldn't have happened. And that's Cassie and Lyons out of the race. Well, out of, not out of the race, but with damage with no fast repair, likely out of it for the win. They were coming to the white flag. This would have been the final lap of the race. Brandon Half, Gary Sexton, Alex Fox the lead. Nick Olson's all kind of junk. That 24 is all kinds of torn up. A couple of lap trucks in the middle. He might have an opportunity to get a lap back, possibly. Lucas Cram, a lot of damage. Indy Cassie, same story. He is... Wow. Oh my gosh. And you don't see what the steering wheel is doing because iRacing stops giving you that info once there's a toe link broken. Oh my gosh. Two of Robbie Lyons, very similar story, a lot of damage. We can go back and see what just happened a lap ago. The two down low. Sexton and Olson are going to try and drop, and Graham was cleared there. He squeezes to the bottom and is going to right hook the two. Olson had the 44 cleared. I got to put that on Lucas. I know it's all in the moment. But if he had just lifted, it could have raced to the end. I think there may have been a little bit of disbelief at what just happened. Not necessarily what happened between Lucas and Olson and Lyons, but just the fact that Robbie and Indy Cassie are both in this crash again. 2 cautions for cause in this race, and they have both been in both of them. This is the onboard inside the car for Indy Cassie. Then we'll get Robbie Lyons. Then we'll catch back up to what's happening under caution. That is just a big, big hit. And immediately it broke the suspension on, I believe, the left front for Indy Cassie. Immediately on impact. We'll go on board now for the 2. Robbie was just trying to push Brandon Half down low. We'll watch this entire replay clip into turn 3. I mean, props to Gary Sexton and Nick Olson on the top side. They did a fantastic job getting in line, and Robbie just suddenly gets hooked right into the 24. Unfortunate. If anybody took the least amount of damage in that crash, though, I think it was the 44. Although he's still in the pit lane, Robbie Lyons is rolling around. See if we can dial up Robbie Lyons. Talladega winner earlier in the season. Robbie, 2 cautions for cause. You were in both of them. Neither one your fault. What happened there?
I actually just went back and looked at the replay, and let me first start off by saying that is some of the most crazy, fun racing I've ever been a part of on this service in all the years that I've been on it. And it's a miracle that we didn't crash before that point. Some of the craziest saves and just the aggression was just wild. But there it looked like Lucas was trying to go up the middle, and Nick was going to try and block the middle, and just wasn't quite clear, and Lucas drifted down reacting to that, and then Echo kind of got me in the right rear, and off we went. But
I'm glad you added that caveat, because I was pretty critical for a moment of Lucas as well, but that was great racing. You guys almost crashed like 30 times. Does the 2 have anything, though, on this restart as you guys get doubled up?
You know, I'm not sure. I had 4 minutes of optional there, and I got about 1 minute and 45 fixed. And the way that these things are set up today, like Lucas and Alex Fox worked really hard on raising the ride heights, just so there's a lot of travel, which means they are going a lot slower than your typical C-Fix or truck setup at Daytona. So I might have something for them. We'll see here. I bet we could do something.
Missing a right front fender, but that's no problem for Robbie Lyons. Thank you for your time, Robbie. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Robbie has definitely got his work cut out for him here as we go into Sim Auto Racing Group overtime. We'll have a chance to go racing for at least 2 more laps. I'm sure these guys hope it's only 2 more laps. Lap 82 will end. Lap 83 begins. We're in overtime. Green, white, checkered. Green flag back out. Brandon Half up top, Gary Sexton down low, McDonald up top pushing the 9. We've seen that formula be successful before, especially with the 16 pushing anybody. Real tight though out of turn number 2. And Alex Fox, maybe a bit of an unknown He's down low, and you see Robbie Lyons dropping out of the draft. It's nothing. The 2 has nothing. Oh, big shot there. Lucas Cram goes to the middle. He's trying to come back through the field. He just doored the 17 to do it. Trying to make something happen, something special here at Daytona. It'll be white flag in the air, this time by Sexton moving around. He's got a little bit of right front damage. Not going to hold him up. White flag in the air. Brandon Half leading the way. Everybody moving around. The white flag is out. Brought to you by Whiplash Cams. And somebody in the wall. There goes Dager. There goes the 44 of Lucas Cram. A few more are going to crash. Up front, though. Oh, there they go. Hard in the walls. The 24. The 16. We're not done. Gary Sexton going to have help from Alex Fox down low. And that just might be a first-time winning pair if they can get back to the stripe. Brandon Half gets in behind the 22 now. I think all 3 of these guys going for a win. That's going to spin the 22 of Alex Fox. All bets are off as we come around to the stripe. Baldeck gets up here. He's in the top 3. He's going to push his Motorscape News teammate of Gary Sexton, who doors Brandon Half. What's it going to be to the stripe? Gary Sexton with a win. Let that sink in for a minute. Harry Sexton has written his name in victory lane with a Sharpie tonight. Takes home the old Daytona 200 in one of the wildest restarts I've ever seen on iRacing. 5 laps led. Said before, it seems like he was always in the picture. Seemed like he was always somewhere towards the front, and sure enough, Gary Sexton will come around turn 4, come around the tri-oval and get a chance to celebrate. The first chance he's had all season long to do some burnouts, some donuts. And Sexton goes into the grass, the kind of classic Daytona burnout. Gary Sexton gets to do donuts on the tri-oval banking at Daytona International Speedway. Teammate Brett Baldeck just behind, and what a change of direction for the 3. I mean, he got shuffled out numerous times, kept getting left, it seemed like, by everybody, and yet is going to walk away from Daytona, the race winner this evening. Props to truck number 3. He'll be able to pull away and do some more donuts through the grass. And Gary Sexton will park it there on the bank. And we can go ahead, of course, and take a look back at our unofficial race results. After 84 laps of racing. Of course, truck number 3 going to be race winner Gary Sexton. Second place, though, how about Brandon Half in the 9? He's been in the picture, it seems like, all season long. Gets another one up front. Brett Baldeck will finish 3rd. We'll be talking to him once again. He finished, I believe, 2nd a couple of weeks ago at Talladega. Sean Howell there in the top 5. Quinn Gingrich came back. 4 of the 5 in the top 5, I think, are completely different from what anybody would have expected earlier on. John Bower finishes 6th. Robbie Lyons, Ben McDonald, Lucas Cram, and Stephen Gale, your top 10. Take a look there at 11th through 18th. But Gary Sexton is your race winner this evening. We'll dial up driver number 3 from Motorscape.news and bring Gary in, who's now a race winner for the first time in the Sim Auto Racing Group in 2024. Gary, it seemed like nobody wanted to work with you, but that's okay. You're the race winner. How'd that happen?
Yeah, just had to be kind of selfish there, but we had a good group working together there, trying, to at least, we weren't really near each other, but just to give each other heads up of what was going on, make sure, we didn't try and compromise our own races, just racing around each other. But yeah, like you said, before I continue, I just got to applaud everybody in that race for how hard we raced and how clean. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I knew, especially on the white there, when it was the, Nick and Brandon, I know they work really well together. It's kind of those two versus me. And, it looked like Brandon kind of came down to get in front of Nick, and then they moved up. And I knew from there, it was just going to be a battle between me and Brandon, with the help from Alex behind. He chose to go with me, and I think that made all the difference. And I just kind of had to slow his run down on the front stretch and, put it on his door a little bit, try not to wreck him. And then Brett had a run there coming to the line, and I had to block that. And yeah, it's just crazy racing all around. Feels good to win something. I haven't won a race in a long time. So, I don't even know what to say.
Well, I can say that you wrote your name in victory lane this evening with a Sharpie. How about this paint scheme? It's a deviation from the Liquid Death and Motorscape trucks we've seen this season. Maybe bringing you some good luck.
Yeah, I loaded this up from Trading Paints. I thought it was pretty funny and creative. I like creative paints like that. I haven't had time to paint myself a machine in a while, so I was like, let's run this, mix it up, and I think it paid off. Like I said, we don't win that without just like everybody racing smart and being able to make. Everyone made crazy moves, but relatively predictable. I know that the end of the race things kind of get even crazier, but that whole last run up to 2 to go was just absolute insanity. And everybody in the league has to be applauded for how that went. So, I won, but I think everybody here won, really.
That said, we come right back here in Daytona after world's fastest repave to do it all over again next week. But without all of the bumps, is there, I guess, how different will it be this week to next week's program?
That is the difference, is the bumps. Here it's, again, like Lucas and those guys, they did a really good job of fixing the setup. It was really bumpy, and it kind of floated around, but you could still lock bumpers with guys. You could still push. You didn't have to worry about getting turned really too much. But the bumps added an element of, your car's not going to hold the most perfect line, so you had to be smart about where you put your car, behind somebody, or if you're going to try and go 3 wide, you really had to be as precise as you possibly could. I know I had to turn my force feedback down a little bit just so that I wasn't oscillating too much over the bumps. And then next week it's going to be buttery smooth. I think we'll see a very similar type of race. I just think more people will be involved, and we'll be 3 wide for longer.
Well, Gary, congratulations. 5 laps led in 84. You go to victory lane. And I guess you better keep that Sharpie truck on the paint scheme for the next few weeks.
Yeah, we're gonna ride this out for the rest of the season for sure. I might add to it a little bit, but yeah, definitely a cool scheme. Whoever painted this on Trading Paints, love it.
Gary Sexton's your race winner in the old Daytona 200. Gary, congratulations, and we can go down then to driver number 9. Brandon Half, who right here looks like he might have the race win. As we watch the replay in slow-mo here, Brandon, what's going through your mind right here? It seems like you have the advantage, but then suddenly Brett goes down to the 3 car.
It just came down to I had no help at the end. I mean, I thought I did all I can. I knew, at least in turn 1, I saw Nick and Gary coming low with the huge run, and I knew at that point I was gonna have to move low. I didn't want to. I didn't plan on leaving the top. I knew Ben would probably work with me, so I was gonna stay there. And then, I unfortunately they wrecked behind me, and then Gary and Alex got a run on the backstretch, and I don't know what happened with Alex. I think he lagged out or something. But yeah, at this point, I'm just holding on for dear life at this point, hoping that maybe I can keep Gary behind me. But the runs were so huge tonight that there was absolutely no way I was keeping him behind me. He was gonna have to screw up, or Brett was gonna have to turn him for me to have a chance there. I knew immediately Brett was gonna go with him, and I was pretty much out to dry. but kind of frustrated with second. I know it's a good points day because I got third in the stage, second in the race, which will be good because I know Nick got wrecked. I don't know where Lucas finished, even though he won the stage and led a bunch of laps. But yeah, I mean, really felt like I had that win in the bag, or not in the bag, but I felt like I had a really good shot at that win. But again, another top 3. I guess I can't complain.
And you were leading down low as that big crash happened in 3 and 4 to set this scenario up. Did that change your approach to the green-white checkered, or was it still just go out and just hold on and pray?
A little bit. I'm not gonna lie. When I don't know if there's been a green-white checkered like that, at least in this league, that I've actually been leading. So I really had to make the choice, number one, which lane I was gonna go in, because I felt stronger on the top, but I also felt like with the right help I could make the bottom work. So I wound up going on the top, and once I chose the top, I'm like, that was my strategy. I was going to stay there, and I was going to hopefully Ben was going to push me, and hopefully he had the help behind him, and he didn't get shuffled. And yeah, I mean, strategy really at that point is just hope you have the help behind you, hope you don't get turned. And at that point, hopefully you wind up in victory lane. And I felt like I did the right things. I really don't regret anything. Even the block there off of 2, I felt like I did the right thing. It's just, again, I had no help. Alex went with Gary. And then Brett went with Gary. So I felt like the Lone Ranger there. But yeah, like I said, no regrets. I felt like I did all I could. Just, again, had no help. So.
Well, Brandon, it still all works out to put you P2, which, again, as you said, big points day. You might be the points leader after this one. Congratulations, solid effort, and you get to do it all over again next week. Best of luck to you.
Yep, thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it.
A bit dejected, maybe, for Brandon Half after 17 laps led, second place as they came to the stripe, but I think certainly an effort well done there for Brandon Half, as a couple opportunities to win the race, maybe just didn't quite go his way, but maybe the same could be said for truck number 4, although a whole lot earlier. Brett, you had some trouble early, got sorted back through the pack. What happened there?
Yeah, I lost a lap because the old Daytona, the cone is really at the start of pit road, and I went below it and got unsafe pit entry, so I got a lap down, then I got it back on the caution for the stage. But wow, what a last lap. Going into 1, I look in my mirror and see probably the biggest wreck in history of this league. And then there's another wreck between Nick Olson and the 16 truck in front of me. So I dodged that. I actually got a little piece of that, and I thought my race was over. Then going into 3, they got bottled up, and there was another spin. Dodged that, and then I saw a lane, and I expected Gary Sexton to block it, and he did. So then I just helped him across the line as much as I could, and second race in a row I've gotten third, so I'll take that. Yeah, I don't know how I'm doing in points. I haven't scored a lot of stage points, but I mean, that was a heck of a race to run. A lot of fun, so I'm excited for our event next week.
A drastic change in paint scheme, maybe a drastic change in tone as well for the 4. Congratulations on the addition to the World Racing Group and your new occupation for 2024. How big of a deal is that for you in this new year?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's been an incredible week. I mean, finishing third, and then yeah, I'm going to be doing the pit reporting for the American Sprint Car Series that starts next Friday at 7:30 on Dirt Vision, and something I've always wanted to do, and really glad that could come together. And then I still do the motorscape.news website, so just a lot of good things happening. So 2024 has been off to a good start, and I just love motorsports so much, and it's just cool to see all this come together. For anyone that's listening, I mean, a lot of it came together just because of iRacing and name recognition and going to races. And so, yeah, it's just motorsports is great. Love everyone in it. Appreciate everyone who's helped me, and just love iRacing too. This was a lot of fun tonight. So appreciate you guys putting on the broadcast as well. I always go back and watch it, but I can't say enough. I've always been a huge fan of the bumpy Daytona. I think it puts on great races, and I think tonight proved that.
Well, Brett, congratulations. The top 3 is always a good day, even if you hit a pit penalty that I had never seen before. So congratulations there. I had never seen that in my life on iRacing, but you come back to third place. Congratulations on the new job. Congratulations on the top 3. A whole lot's working out for you, and your iRacing's newest example of going from sim to reality. Congratulations. We'll be talking to you next week, I'm sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Brett Baldack with a third place finish when it all comes down to the end. And how about a Chevrolet, a Toyota winning, a Chevrolet second, and a Ford in third? That's everything you can ask for out of parity. We had teammates all over the place, and in fact, let's go back and see if we can't find out what the heck happened towards the end of the race. Let's watch here with volume. Everything is peachy keen, hunky-dory this first lap of the finish. And it all changes very, very quickly. So watch the 44, Lucas Cram. He's going to move down. He's going to try to block the 17, or I guess get to the middle. So that was the first little bit of interesting that I noticed. And the crash, I'm not blaming Lucas at all, because we haven't seen it yet, but the crash happens to include him as well. And, you know, going back to the turn 3 crash, we saw to set this all up, Lucas was being aggressive because it was coming around to the white flag. He was trying to go for a win. He was mired back further in the field than he usually ever is. Same thing here. He's going to the outside, trying to make something happen. And room, I'm sure, is just going to run out. He gets into the safer barrier, and wow. Wow. What a crash. It all unraveled very, very quickly. Here's another look. We'll watch with Stephen Gale on the screen. He's just going to actually get caught out by a whole separate incident because Sean Howell got into him. Brian Holland, Jacob McMillan, they get collected. Then further up, Nick Olson and Ben McDonald, they had something happen. And watch the 22 here. Alex Fox, blinking in and out. He's here, then he's not. And right down here in turn 3, they're just going to get together. Brandon Half trying to push him, and the lag gets the 22. He goes for a spin and ends up dropping all the way to 11th. And, got clipped there by Robbie Lyons, who was trying to come around. And Robbie finishes 7th, which I think, given what could have been, I think is still a solid positive there for Robbie. Now, to get to the finish, Gary Sexton was pushing the 24, who ends up in the wall with Ben McDonald. Those two just get together. It's like a matter of racing on the final lap. One more time through. We're going to first go on board with the 44, Lucas Cram, in the helmet. Then we're going to get the 16 of Ben McDonald. And then we're going to ride on board with the race winners. This is the last lap from a few different perspectives. First, Lucas Cram, trying to cram his way to the outside. And just runs out of room right here. He knew it was coming, tried to jump out of the throttle, couldn't do it in time. Then Nick Olson to the 24, or rather the 16 of Ben McDonald. Yep, just right on the right rear of Nick. Into the outside wall, they both go. Then the 3, Gary Sexton. Side drafting here with the number 9. He's going to get clear to the race lead. Thinks that he might have to defend from the 22 and the 9 as they come around turn 4. Then this happens. There goes the 22. Alex Fox goes for a spin. Suddenly Gary moves down low, blocks Brett. And right here, going to be a shot, a block from Gary into the line. Congratulations, truck number 3 with the win down at Daytona. What a race. Well, in all of that, we never even had a chance, really, to go back through anything. It feels like, let's quickly, while we have a chance here at the back end of the show, recap a couple of things. Of course, first up, we, of course, have to talk about just the schedule itself. With everything going on, we only have 2 races to go. Daytona next week, the, I guess, less fun version for some of these guys, I think, going to the new scan of Daytona March 13th as we work into Season 2 on iRacing here in 2024. Race number 6 takes us for 80 laps, 200 miles, and then they get to do it at Talladega once again. And you see Daytona on this list 3 times, Talladega on this list 3 times, but just different circumstances. They'll be the most well-oiled, I suppose, at Talladega when we go racing for the finale. I don't know, though, if that's really going to change much. I mean, these guys are going to do everything they did this evening twice over, the next two races, race number 6 and race number 7. And, well, I don't know how else it's going to go but calamity in ways. We also saw the best racing we've seen, I think, all season long here at this racetrack in particular, which is, I think, very much unexpected. Considering this is the old Daytona, it's that much more difficult to race at, and that much more difficult to especially have a pack at and not crash. We saw these guys go 3 wide multiple times. Again, I think the best racing we have seen all season long happened right here on these bumpy high banks with Gary Sexton going to victory lane. And now we can go ahead and take a look at what's upcoming here at Pit Stop TV through the course of March in 2022 or 2024. Sunday, we head out to Phoenix Raceway with the Icon Cup Series, March 10th, 7:45 p.m. Eastern. Race number 3 for their league. Tuesday, though, we head out to Hickory Motor Speedway, March 12th, with the 1-8 Coffee Company National Tour, the Sim Auto Racing Association. Then we go for round 6 here at Daytona, Wednesday, March 13th, with another race for those super late models at Hickory on March 14th. And then the weekend off from Icon Cup Series action, at least on the channel. They'll be at Bristol, though, there on St. Patrick's Day. 2 races to go in the series. Make sure to follow along on Pit Stop TV for everything Pit Stop TV, whether it is, whether it's the Sim Auto Racing Association, whether it's Icon Cup Series action, no matter what it is, make sure to follow along Pit Stop TV, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Kick. A whole lot of them, and we will see you all in a couple of weeks. Well, the next couple of weeks, right back here at Daytona next week, then to Talladega in a couple of weeks. And it's all thanks to our partners here with the series. Sunwest Construction, the namesake of the series, the Sim Auto Racing Group, Superspeedways series presented by Sunwest Construction, but also Lucky Motorsport Solutions, fantastic partners here of the series. And our partners with the channel, Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, and CC's Business, helping us out. A big shout out as well to the groups at the bottom of the screen in audio, ATVO, Whiplash Simcams, OBS, and iRacing.com. That is it. After 84 laps of racing, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. We'll see you at Daytona next week for round 6. Don't miss it.